You online? Ready? Okay. Hi, good evening. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ralph Casals, your town manager, town of Cutler Bay. This is our second open mic night. The last one was on April 27th, in which we provide a unique opportunity for the residents to come live in person, which we have some residents here, thank you. And also through our Facebook, and as well as some of our emails that we have received prior to this meeting, just to let you know what's going on in town. So before I start, I want to recognize, Vice Mayor Michael Callahan, who's here in the audience today. And we also have several members of the council that are on our Facebook Live. So what I like to do is just basically just kind of go around and talk about some of the things that are going on in town, some of the things that we know are going on. The first topic is Southland Mall. As we know, Southland Mall, Macy's, and now breaking news, Sears the mall and Macy's are under contract and have already been sold. And Sears, just as of 3 weeks ago, the same group has put a contract on Sears as well. So we're very optimistic that there's going to be one group that's going to own that entire footprint of Southland Mall, Macy's, and Sears. So once that property goes through the due diligence process, then we'll go through the visioning session with them as per our code. So we're really excited about that. The economic impact, according to the developer, is going to be well over $1 billion when it's all built out. So again, that's been our vision as a town, and we've worked really hard going to different developers to try to get this deal done. And now we feel that now with all three parcels together, really, really exciting news. The mall's in opportunity zone as well, and it's also being fed by the bus rapid transit. You hear me say BRT all the time. So that's something that we're excited about. Closer more to the inner part of the town is the new Publix on Old Cutler Road. We get calls all the time. In fact, today we spoke to the contractor, and the new proposed opening is going to be somewhere in mid-October. They've been having some issues with supplies, but also they have to, if you've driven by there, they've been doing a lot of roadway improvements. They have to relocate some lights. They're doing some driveways for the church over there. So again, it looks like it's going to be mid-October. Another hot topic that I always get calls on, and what about the tenants? Well, we know that they've had some really good success with the tenants. They have not released that information to us yet. I could tell you that we haven't received any applications yet, because they'll have to come to the town for occupational license, certificate of use. But they're kind of like, again, according to them, they want to keep that confidential until the last part of the build out. So we're very optimistic. I mean, as much as I can get out of them was it's really hot, it's really active, and there's a lot of interest in the town of Cutler Bay, particularly, with restaurants and retail. So again, as I always mentioned before, there's that new shiny toy that's there, and folks are going to come to us. So we're really excited about that. There's also going to be two other buildings on the bookends. There's two buildings that have not been built yet on either side of that building along Old Cutler Road. And when the town council approved that development, they said they had to be built within 2 years once a certificate of occupancy has been issued. So there's going to be two other buildings at another 4,000 square feet each building for more potential retail and restaurants. So we're really excited about that opportunity there as well. Going down on Cutler Road, we have the 16 acres, the town center, town municipal complex there. Just last month, the town council approved what we call a request for qualification, RFQ. As you know, the journey we did with the bonds, we had the University of Miami put some models together. We had our communication manager, Desiree, put together a nice QR code, and we received over close to 1,000 comments of different folks' comments regarding the 9 conceptual designs, and as well as what their vision is for that property there. And we had several meetings that we actually held them at special events as well. So with all that information, we're going to put that all in one big request for qualification to go ahead and put that to get one design team to design the entire complex there with all the feedback that we received from the residents. So thank you for everyone who participated, because that, believe it or not, has saved us, going to save us time and money. because again, we did that with the University of Miami, the students, as well as our town staff. And now we'll bring in the final design team to design one municipal complex there. So that's going there as well. The 8.5 acres. When I refer to the 8.5 acres, is the 8.5 acres that are located at the intersection of Old Cutler Road and Southwest 184th Street. That's the 8.5 acres that the town purchased in order to avoid having, homes there adjacent to the wetlands. And we have been very, very successful with grants. For example, we received $250,000 grant from Florida Department of Environmental Protection, FDEP, to remove all the invasives. If you know that property, you've spoken to the folks that are out there with, that volunteer out there for cleanup, approximately almost 85 to 90% of those trees in there are invasive. So we're going through the process right now, going through with our friends at Miami-Dade County Durham to, try to get that, expedite the permit to remove the trees. But more importantly, what we're trying to do at the same time is working with our county commissioner to get a specific amount, like $250,000, another $250,000 to start what we call the planning phase. So it's going to be a passive park. We're going to remove all the trees, but at the same time, we want to have a plan as we're removing all those trees. It will look barren because it's all invasive trees. I mean, I've walked that site with our consultants, and there's debris there from, again, we're approaching the Hurricane Andrew anniversary. There's stuff in there from Andrew in there. So that's something that we're really excited about, to get to the cleanup effort and to start doing the master planning at the same time for the 8.5 acres. We also have an active application for a grant from the Florida Communities Trust, FCT. Again, government, we use a lot of acronyms. That one there, we applied for a grant for $1.5 million to reimburse ourselves for the purchase price, which was approximately $8.5 million. And we just received word last week that we are eligible to receive up to $860,000, if I'm not mistaken, for that. So that's some great news that we have received from our friends from the Florida Communities Trust. So again, we're exploring all the different options there for grants. We also have, speaking of grants, we call it the free government Uber, as I call it, right? It's a Go Connect, little minivans you see throughout town. That is actually funded through another grant that we received for $193,000. If you haven't used it before, please just download the app. It's just like Uber. It just says Go Connect. And for Cutler Bay residents for the next 3 years, that service is free. Free meaning that you can move within the town, the Cutler Bay, go to Publix, go to your friend's house on a Friday night, go to the restaurants and eat. You don't have to worry about driving home. And it's really, really great. We've actually received, our last ridership number is about 4,000 riders a month. 4,000, which now almost equates to the amount of ridership that we have on our municipal circulator as well. Speaking of the municipal circulator, as you've seen it go around and around, people say, hey, the trolley, it's kind of shrink wrapped like a trolley. So I'm glad that people see it as a trolley. That means you saw it. And we actually received another grant for $195,000 to have a second circulator going around. So you'll see in the next upcoming months, we're going to have some public involvement meetings to finalize the route with the input from the residents of what that route should look like. Should it be on the same loop? Should it be a different loop? Should it be an express loop? So those are the kind of things that we want to get your feedback. So again, you just stay tuned for that. Other projects that we have, and I know that Desiree is going to keep track of my time. Thank you. I'll hear the bong, once it's at 6:30. Franjo Road, the much anticipated Franjo Road, another project that was funded through a grant through Miami-Dade County Complete Streets. When it was then Commissioner Levine Cava, it was an $8.5 million grant that we received. And we're matching approximately, maybe like just under $1 million, depending on when the bids come back. What that road is going to be is from 184 to Old Cutler Road. That's the length of Franjo in our town. And it's going to be what we call a complete streets project. Old Cutler Road's a complete streets project. Caribbean Boulevard is a complete streets project where you have bus pull-out bays, lighting. If you live on Franjo Road, there's zero lighting. Drainage, landscaping, traffic circles. We're really excited about the traffic circles. There's going to be 2 traffic circles there. The first one's going to be on Cutler Ridge Drive in Franjo, kind of that weird intersection. that at least, it took us about a good year to put a stop sign there with the county. So thank you, Miami-Dade County. There's been a lot of accidents there. Believe me, we speak to the gentleman in the corner there that had even a bus go through his fence there. So that whole intersection has to be realigned. We got rid of the big tree. Remember the big tree that was there? Again, it was, through permits, and it was an invasive tree. So just to make sure. But there's also going to be an extra bonus circle. If you know Franjo Road, Franjo and Gulfstream, that intersection, you cringe. On a good day, you can't make a left, right? On a good day. So we've actually shown the study and the right-of-way map to Miami-Dade County to install a second traffic circle there. Now, what's going to happen there? I think it's 99th Street. I think it is, Alfredo, or 1/8 the one street. There's a little. If you look at that intersection there, there's a nice little green area there. That's there, kind of like a little triangle, kind of no man's land there. So we're actually maximizing that with the traffic circle, and we're going to use that like a little, kind of like a little passive pavilion, bike repair area there for residents to enjoy as they're walking, possibly a water fountain there. So again, we're looking at that type of element there. Those plans are about 85% complete in terms of Franjo Road. There's going to be a bus pull-out bay on both Franjo Park and Bel Aire Park, and also throughout. Again, lighting, drainage, it's a complete streets project, and our track record has been great regarding that. We've received awards for both Caribbean and Old Cutler Road for our complete streets project, so we're really excited about that. That's already in the final design phase. Once that phase is completed, then it goes out to bid. And then once it's a bid, then we know that's going to probably be like about a 1.5 to 2 year project. So that's in the final stages. Another road that we're really excited about is Marlin Road. Marlin Road from US 1 to Old Cutler Road. Another major corridor owned by the county, just like Franjo. We actually received an appropriation through the state of Florida with our state representatives, Buceta, as well as our state senator, Elian Garcia, for $520,000 for the design. At the same time, we actually also applied for a grant from FDOT, and we received another $480,000 for the design. So we have approximately $960,000 to design that complete streets. It'll be the same situation where you're looking at possible traffic circles. I want to say it's Alfredo, it's Marlin, I think Bel Aire, right over the bridge, right around there. We're looking at that area there to study that area. And also same type of complete street elements where we talk about the bus pullout bays, crosswalks, the traffic circles, lighting, drainage along that entire roadway, curb and gutter as well along Franjo Road. By putting the curb and gutter like we did on Caribbean Boulevard, you're allowed to put the trees closer to the road because that curb kind of protects them. And so that gives you that nice canopy look, and that way you don't have like this big roadway to hopefully not speed on. So that's something that we're really excited about, Marlin. At the same time, while we're doing the design, we're actually also working with our Congresswoman Salazar, Salazar, regarding a possible $4.4 million federal appropriation to fund the project, partially funded. We know it's going to probably be somewhere in the $8 million. But again, that's an active application that we have through the federal government. It's actually already been approved by the subcommittee, and now it's going to the full House of Representatives and eventually to the Senate. So we have our federal lobbyists working on that construction money already. Another one that we have also that we're in the planning phase right now is we received some emails regarding what's going on with our Lakes by the Bay playground. The Lakes by the Bay playground is a certain section that we closed out because the material that for the pads for the playground there, it's been deteriorating and it's sinking. So we closed that little section off, and what we're doing is going through right now the bidding process to try to get that entire flooring redone there, because if you've been out there, there's like chunks coming off it. But there was one area that's unsafe that we kind of closed it off for they call it pour and play. For the pour and play. So I know that's something that we have been receiving comments about, and that's one that we're actually using some of our federal stimulus money that we're going to be using to repair that. It needs to actually get ripped out, compacted, and redone all over again there. Whispering Pines Park, the Whispering Pines Park, the road around the park and the sidewalk. That's something that we've already completed the plans to put in the new crosswalks there, as well as new sidewalks, ADA, drainage there. If you've been by the Whispering Pines Park, you see like the little dirt there where everybody kind of parks there. That's going to be nice brick pavers there. If you've been by Whispering Pines Drive as well, there's a crosswalk that is a crosswalk to nowhere. It goes from one tree to another tree, you know? So I say that's my crosswalk to nowhere. So it's going to be something that we're going to be doing. We're going to have to schedule it around our 4th of July, summer school, the winter break. So that's something that also is going to be funded. Caribbean Boulevard Bridge. For a while there, we were getting calls and emails. Hey, what's going on with it? Well, the contractor is, first of all, it's a county project. It's a Miami-Dade County project. It's a county road. And I know some of the council members might remember, I know the vice mayor remembers that at one point we were thinking about holding off our project until they built that bridge. We said, no, let's do our project and you could build a bridge around our project. So thank God we did that, because now our roads are completed around there except that bridge section. They had some issues with some underground borings. They've gotten through that, so it was a little bit of a delay there. A couple times the contractor was hit with COVID, so they actually had that as well. But they're on site, they're working. The expected date for completion is going to be May 2023, May of 23. So you'll see a lot more activity there. And as you see, what we did there with the county is coordinate with the county public works department to make sure that they don't close, Caribbean Boulevard. If you recall, when we're doing our own Caribbean Boulevard, I tell people we're on an island. You close that bridge, how do you move around? All right, you have to do the big loop, Marlin Road, and believe me, we had to live those detours. But believe me, my phone was ringing off the hook, and Alfredo Quintero, Public Works Director, was ringing off the hook. Southwest 216th Street, between Old Cutler and 97th Avenue. The folks that live by Lakes by the Bay. That project there is a drainage project. The county completed over $1 million worth of project from 97th to 87th Avenue. On that side of the traffic circle. That roadway project was completed. Now we've been working with Miami-Dade County. Those plans are about 90% complete. They said they're going to start hopefully construction in December. And that, again, that's a $600,000 project that we've been lobbying Miami-Dade County to fix their road through as well. So that's something that's coming there. And the running joke with residents are like, hey, they fix the site of the flood. This is a site that really floods. So we understand that, but now we can say both sides will be fixed with that on Miami-Dade County's projects. Old Cutler Road and 184th Street. I'm sure you've heard a lot of chatter regarding the traffic circles that the county is going to be putting in throughout Palmetto Bay. One of the circles is going to be on Old Cutler 184. That is a traffic mobility project for Miami-Dade County, installing the circles throughout Old Cutler Road. The one that's going to affect us is going to be the one on Old Cutler and 184. But the county actually had to acquire some private property there, so that's why it's taking a little bit longer for that. And so you'll see that coming pretty soon, I think, or the last information received that's going to be starting in late September of this year. Late September this year, it's going to be starting. So be aware for those detours, because I don't want to be the person doing those detours there, because there's not that much to detour on Old Cutler Road, so we know that. Another one near and dear to our heart that we get calls all the time is the Cutler Ridge Park pool. The pool. We completed a pool assessment. We took the pool assessment to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee that they have reviewed the engineering report. And the engineering report says it's built in 1950. It's small, it's old. It's going to approximately be about $1.4 million, roughly, to rebuild, but you'll still have a 1950 pool, small location. So again, that's something, if you keep track, we're going to be discussing it at the town council in the meeting in September, but it has already gone through the Parks Committee. They've seen it. They've had the full engineering report, and all that information will be presented to the town council, so we can look at exploring our options of what we need to do with that pool. We kind of checked the box. We rehabilitated Franjo Park. I know it took a long time, but it's there. And I know that we had issues with the restrooms there. We took care of that as well. So now we went on to look at the assessment of Cutler Ridge Park, the pool. Another one that we know that's coming down the pike is the Bel Aire Park there's a little concession stand building there that we actually had to red tag it. What that means, red tag, we deemed it unsafe. Okay, so we had to shift our football league to the Lakes by the Bay to move their league. And thank you, Commissioner Moss from the Football League. They've worked really good with us, but we could not have that building open. It was just unsafe for those patrons and those participants there. So again, another building built in the early 60s, and it just kind of started, deteriorating. So that's something that we know that we're gonna have to address. Question I usually get is, well, how are you gonna address that? Well, the town with the American Rescue Plan received allocated $21 million. We are using a lot of the money for what we call water quality improvement projects, stormwater projects. But we also have another category, it's called for general use. And as I mentioned to the town council, this is the part that we have general use. It's a grant. We have to play by the feds rules. And there's some opportunity there that's going to be a unique opportunity for us if we're going to look at building possibly a new pool or rehabbing the pool. That decision will be made here shortly, as well as the buildings at Bel Aire Park, as well as some of the playgrounds that we need to go ahead and put the surfacing on. So we're trying to maximize that, as well as stormwater drainage projects as well, water quality improvement projects. So we're trying to maximize that as much as we can, as well as leveraging that money with different grants as well. So you'll see us talking about that in the council meeting. We know that we had that major flood. It was, I think, Alfredo, 26 inches in 4 days when we received 54 an entire year. So we know there was a lot of different areas. Now, it was not just Lakes by the Bay. That Saga Bay that was flooded. There was also an area right behind Franjo Park there. And there were some areas off of 82nd Avenue cul-de-sacs, there. When you know that an Amazon truck can't even get out, it was kind of deep in those. So we have been maximizing all those areas, and we're actually doing the studies for the design of that. And what I challenged our public works department was to go ahead and just have another public involvement meeting, because when we had a stormwater master plan public involvement meeting in the very same room, 3 people showed up. When the flood occurred in Saga Bay, our public works director, Alfredo Quintero, got bombarded. I think it was like, last count was 419 emails. So yes, unfortunately that happened, but we need that input and we need that feedback from our residents. We're going to have an public involvement meeting that we're going to have studying the entire town, but we've also given work orders to our same other engineering firms to do drainage projects within the neighborhoods. And we want to get your feedback, we want to get your photos. We certainly have a lot of photos from Saga Bay, but there's some other areas there that we want to make sure that this is the time to put it in the stormwater master plan. We want to hear from you. So again, you'll see that coming up here shortly. It's going to be kind of like call it the science fair project, where you have the master plan here, and then you have different neighborhoods throughout the boards in the room. But we want to try to get as many people here to get that feedback. So that's very critical for us. I know I have 7 minutes. Okay, so I'll try to talk as fast as I can. Our third code compliance officer, something else that residents have wanting for and requested, that we actually budgeted for. Our Saturday, he works Saturdays and Sundays and weekends and the night shift as well. Since January, 122 violations that individual has seen. I mean, if you're one of those folks, there's too much code enforcement on the weekends, right? So we have that. And then also another thing that we always get is, well, whatever happens with these fines? Well, we've actually collected over $75,000 worth of fines and liens, just since January. And also our special master, which is the judge. So you get a citation, you want to question the citation, you go before what's called the special master. We've been averaging 15 cases a month in front of the special master. So, and again, thank you for the residents. I want residents to call, hey, I saw this going on here. Is there a permit or not? We have the ability to investigate that as well. So yes, it's our truck that says code compliance following that concrete truck. That's us. We're going to follow it all the way to the end. So they're there. We try to work with the residents, but at a certain point that doesn't work, and you have to have a citation issued. Briefly, I know I have a couple minutes left. We're going through our budget process right now. We have our budget workshop on September the 1st at 6 p.m. here at this council chamber. The workshops are unique to Cutler Bay. I host 3 workshops a year. The hearings are what's mandated by state law to have at least 2 hearings per state law. We try to have 3 beforehand to give the council an opportunity and the resident opportunity to hear what's going on. And then we have our state mandated 2. So that's 5 times that we talk about the budget. 5 times. And we've had some great turnouts, especially now that we broadcast our meetings in Zoom. So again, our last budget workshop, again, this is the workshop, September the 1st. Our first public hearing is September 14th, 6 p.m. this room. And our second budget hearing will be September 28th, 6 p.m. in this room. You'll start getting tax notices from the tax property appraiser. It'll tell you the date and time and that location here. And I got maybe 30 seconds. Briefly, something that we take great pride in is our community events. We have a movie night and a dog walk, believe it or not, at Encompass Health on September 16th at 6 p.m. Something unique that we teamed up with Miami County Animal Services. I don't know, did we find out the theme of the movie? Did we get, huh? Thing? Oh, Sing 2. Okay, there you go. Sing 2. Sorry. I thought you said Thing 2. Sing 2. Sing 2. And I think the biggest thing we want to get out of that is speaking to the animal services director, we want to try to have you kind of mix it up a little bit. Hey, it's going to be like more of a dog walk and maybe have some folks adopt dogs. Some of the larger dogs in the shelters are really tough to have adoption. So that's something we're working on. We also have our annual State of the Town by Mayor Mirabot on October 13th at 6:30 in this same room. Once a year, he provides a State of the Town for it. If you haven't seen or come by, please, it's a great event. Our senior games, we're a regional host for the state of Florida for the senior games, October 15th through the 21st. We host the senior games here, pickleball, tennis, our pool, are in there as well, swimming. And then we also have Halloween. And actually, the Halloween's gotten so popular, they're going to kind of split it up into 2. There's going to be one day is going to be the golf cart, and the other day will be the Halloween event because it got so large that we have to kind of like split it up a little bit. I don't know if you've seen it. The last time when the last person was leaving the Halloween golf cart, by that time half the line already came back to the park. It was so crowded. So we want to try to split that up. So at this point, I just want to give you a general overview. And at this point, we would certainly hope we could have some questions answered. I mean, we'll take the folks. Thank you for coming here in the audience. If you just come up to ask your question, and then we'll go into, Facebook Live as well. So please. Is it on? Okay, the mic is on, so. Anyone, any questions? Yeah, come on in. Thank you for coming.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
So we're recent Cutler Bay residents. We moved in, I want to say, of 2020.
Okay.
And I'm actually originally from Kendall. Always grew up in Kendall, loved it. After we bought the first house in Cutler Bay, we bought the second one in Cutler Bay. We loved it so much, we don't ever want to leave. So I guess really it's a 2-part thing. Number one, I guess congestion is a big concern.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever driven to Kendall lately, West Kendall, then you know what I'm talking about. I guess with all the new construction, going on, all the new projects, do you guys foresee that that'll create more congestion, or do we have a plan to kind of try to not let that happen?
Okay, well, that's a good question in terms of congestion. Something unique to local government is that the town council, when it was actual ordinance, a law that was sponsored by Mayor Tim Mirabot, that said that any development that comes in for a site plan, the town does a traffic study.
Okay.
Not the developer. I always tell people, when have you seen a developer have a plan that says I can't develop? So now the developer actually pays the town.
Mm-hmm.
We go through the methodology with Miami County Public Works or FDOT, if it's a county or state road. If it's our road, it's our own methodology there. And we do the traffic study, and we'll then dictate to the developer, can it or can't be built.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. And I guess the other one is, I guess I'm a little bit of a bad guy on this one, right? During the shutdown, we built a pergola, so a non-covered terrace. And then actually everyone in the county has been absolutely great to work with. But I wanted to see, because of where the location of my property, it doesn't I have no neighbors on the left, no neighbors in the back, and the neighbor to my right is my best friend. And it's, you know, an uncovered pergola. And I guess everyone's just like, hey, because of an issue with setbacks, like, there's nothing you can do. You're gonna have to rip it down. And again, everyone's been great. I just wanted to see, is there, with everything getting so hot outside, is there any like future plans of maybe allowing for like an analysis on an exemption or something so that Cutler Bay residents can, you know, better enjoy their backyard in this heat? You know, if that's a possibility?
Yeah, and I think what you're mentioning is maybe it's the setback. So we have codes that says you have to be so many feet from this property line and the other property line. You're describing because you have no neighbors, but we have to look at it as a holistic, because as somebody, you would say, hey, I'm enjoying the canopy. The resident next door says, do I need that 6 inches from my fence line? You know, the property line. So we had to find that balance. And I know there's been a couple of times that we've amended our code to look at, like, particularly with sheds, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
you know, before, and in some other areas, you can put your shed right up to the fence line. Well, we had it, you got to give me that little buffer. We call it setback, we call it buffer. So more than happy to look at your case with our planning folks, you know, but it's there for that certain reasons, but in your case, no neighbors. Other cases, it's all surrounding.
I guess, because what it is we have a townhouse, and so our backyard is relatively not that big. And then when I went to look, because we're in Isles of Bayshore, in Trellis specifically, you know, that we're considered like a single family zone. So it's basically like our setback is like 4 or 5 feet one way, 7 feet the other way. So it's like, okay, so the whole backyard, we can't put anything there. For shade.
And we even actually went further, that if you're adjacent to wetlands, it's even more stricter.
Yeah.
You know, so again, without knowing the case, I mean, certainly just please get a hold of us and we'll look at
Is
it.
there a way just so that, again, like, I would love to just like show it to you guys, you
Mhm.
know, just so like, hey, is there something I can do? Everyone's been great so far. It's just I haven't been able to get like that solid answer.
Okay.
It's just been so far like, man, you know, it doesn't
Yeah.
look good.
I always tell people, survey says, if you have a survey,
Yes.
bring it in, doodle on the survey, and we'll tell you if it meet the setbacks or not.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to Cutler Bay. Hi, how are you?
Hello. For the stormwater management plan, is there access for public to see it? Or where would they find it?
Yeah. In fact, you could contact the gentleman sitting right behind you, Alfredo Quintero, the Public Works Director. And also, once we announce these meetings, you'll be more than happy. It's in a draft format now. So what you're looking at is, hey, your particular neighborhood, is there any flooding issue? Sure that it's identified in the stormwater master plan, or maybe it's already part of our, we have 4 major neighborhoods that we're under design right now. So it depends on where you live, but if you can provide Alfredo Quintero your contact information, we're more than happy. Maybe one of the neighborhoods already under design.
Is there like to see the general as an olive color bay
Yeah, it's color. It's
in the
countwide.
public transit as well?
Huh?
The public transit studies that you guys spoke about?
The public transit study, what I talked about was the traffic study for
The traffic,
developers.
sorry.
Okay, the traffic study for developers. So if you have a development that comes before the town council, a site plan, right, to build XYZ, that requires a traffic study, and then the town does it. And that's all part of the public record when the developer comes in before the council.
Okay, and I wanted to ask if there's any plans for extending the current public transit?
Yes, I mentioned there's going to be a second circulator
Mhm.
for the municipal circulator. And then we also have the on-demand. In fact, we've actually applied for a grant to extend the hours of our on-demand, because it got so popular, as well as include the weekends as well. That's for the on-demand.
Right.
For the circulator, the second circulator, that's going to be going around depending on whatever the residents want that route to be.
Okay, and my last statement, it's not really a question, but referring to the pergola, I know this is Cutler Bay, but Miami-Dade County does allow exceptions if there is a petition with the neighbors. Is that something that Cutler Bay allows as well?
No.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. How are you? Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good evening. I know that it's not inside your jurisdiction,
Try me.
but it is, you have the contacts, which I don't. I tried, but it didn't work out. But I know that you can make some calls. Here's the scoop. I am a cyclist, but I like to ride gravel.
Gravel?
Gravel.
Okay, got it.
So immediately south of the solid waste,
Mhm.
there's some really nice gravel rides, okay? But with all the construction, they've been blocking a lot of portions of that ride. They say no, unless the Army Corps of Engineers tells us that we need to do it, we cannot do anything about it. And I'm like, it's real simple because all we need to do is right now they have it blocked in such a way that you just can't go back there at all. And then you looked at where they're working and it has nothing to do with, and they can easily do like a corridor. So people that walk and people that cycle, we can continue riding as opposed to having to turn back and not be able to use that. And then you go to the out in the West Kendall area by the winery. There's a lot of gravel riders over there that they would like to ride over here, but over here is blocked. And if you can talk to the Army Corps of Engineers, because they're going to be blocking all of that all the time, okay? There's always doing repairs. If you can ask them, hey, listen, is there any possible way that you can create a corridor so walkers can continue walking and as opposed to having all of this blocked? It's real simple.
Yeah, so,
See the point?
yeah, I see the,
So you talk to them all day long. So you tell them, listen, one of our residents is complaining, mowing, and you know what, because you guys blocked all that, and he's been to see you, and you guys, no, we can't do it, and I'm like, what's the big deal? I mean, you're moving all of this dirt.
Right.
Why you just can create a corridor so us, the humans that come here, we can continue using this place because it's so beautiful back there.
okay,
It's
so,
amazingly beautiful, and it's a great ride.
right, I'll take you up on your first offer. One, for the rest of the audience, that's not Cutler Bay.
I know.
We don't have gravel rides,
I know, that's
but-
not part
not-
of
it's not-
your jurisdiction.
No, it's not part of our jurisdiction, but you're not the first person who told us that. And we've actually contacted Miami-Dade County.
Yeah.
Because what you're talking about is the
And it's
gravel.
actually a bike path.
It's a bike path on on dedicated easement from South Florida Water Management as well as the
There
Army
you go.
Engineer. That they're doing a lot of the drainage projects out there. But if you get that gentleman right back there and give him your information, we're more than happy to get you with the right folks. Alfredo Quintero. But we'll find out. So we get specifics.
Explain about the trash.
Yes, okay.
Come on in. How are
Maybe
you?
it's because I came from Switzerland last year and it's an immaculate country, but I noticed that there are masks, especially after the pandemic, water bottle. And it's not the professional bike riders that are causing the problem. And again, I mean, it's all over the place. And even Walgreens, the other day, the manager was picking up the papers. We need to hire more employees for Public Works to pick up all the garbage. We don't want to be known as Cutler Bay, the city of trash, because they keep telling me it's the trash garbage people that the garbage is coming out from the trucks. No, it's everyday people. And I remember when I was a child, they used to have a lot of commercials with an Indian crying, don't be a litter bug, all these things. We don't advertise that anymore. And I think that's so important. And we need more signs and we need more garbage cans.
Okay, well, thank you. Part of our stuff that we're doing with the Complete Streets is putting in more garbage cans. And also, you mentioned the Walgreens, and I gave you 3 other commercial examples that we've actually given them warnings of violation to clean up their parking lots. That's their responsibilities on private property. You're absolutely right. I mean, I know you go up and down 184th Street and there's just litter that kind of flies off, and 87th Avenue. We know the corridors because that's where on the route to the facility. So that's something that we also have our contractors picking up. But again, we're on it. We know that. We're actually talked about internally about maybe having more, like, say, adopt the roads from different volunteer organizations. We've had community cleanups with the high school kids along the 87th Avenue. Right. Well, I agree. So, yeah. In fact, we've also, so we've also working with Miami-Dade County Police has an illegal dumping unit. You're talking about water bottles. I'm talking about the folks that drop boats, jet skis, dirty tires near our wetlands. So I understand the both spectrums, right? So we're on this side, we're working closely. They've actually had some stings that with the Miami-Dade County Police of folks, what happens is folks go to the South Dade facility, say, hey, it's gonna be $200. Yeah, I'll be right back. Right down the street. That's where they're going, you know? Okay, well, we're, okay. We need, if you could come up to the mics, I can hear you, but nobody else in the virtual world can.
Public Works needs more employees.
Got it. Thank you. So we actually have a contractor that has that, and we actually do litter pickup like six times a week, you know, as well on those high visibility corridors. I mean, without you telling me, I can tell you the streets: 87th, 184, Caribbean, US 1, 112. We know, we're here too. We see that. So again, with those roadway projects that we're doing, both Franjo and Marlin, we're putting in those garbage cans, as well. And hopefully people will start, walking the community and doing that. But we also have our own contractors as well. So, but thank you for the comment. So we definitely take a lot of pride in that. Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, sir. Come on in. Come on up.
Hello, how you doing? I moved here in 2011. I was at Bayshore. Have a couple questions. One, the lot that's in between the two entrances, what's the update on that? Also on 196 and Old Cutler Road, while I was on the way here, I saw somebody saying that they're gonna try to rezone it to make a religious building or institution or something. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, if that's true or not. And also on 87th and Old Cutler, that lot that's there, what is the developer gonna try to do with that?
All right. So let's go to Lakes by the Bay. We'll do the virtual tour. Right, it's about 16 acres between two guardhouses. It's been empty. There's a fence with a green tarp around it. The reason why that fence is there in the green tarp because the property has arsenic. Okay, so we actually had a site plan that came in through the process for two commercial buildings in the front of the property, fronting it, office medical building on one side, and retail restaurants on the other side. And then the back side of that property, I want to say approximately 170 units in terms of small 2-story active adult 55 and over living facility. That's going through the zoning workshop. As you drive by it, you saw a little mustard sign that said zoning workshop this date. And if you live within 1,000 feet radius, you got a notice in the mail. So that's come before the town council. They had a zoning workshop that's also unique to the town of Cutler Bay, where the first half of the workshop is a developer talking to the residents. Second half is them, the developer, talking to the town council. And that's where they need to get that feedback. So that one there is going before the town council on the third Wednesday in September. I want to say September 21st, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, good. I have a thumbs up there. So that's coming up September 21st. But you could also contact our office, either call Nick or Jared, and you come in and see the plans. As well as online on our zoning workshop, the plans are there as well. So you can see it. So that way, if you want to fact find me, I think it's 176 units and it might be a little bit less. 196 Old Cutler Road, another mustard sign, right? They put their little sign there. That is an applicant submitted a plans to do what's called or site plan to put in a Chabad, okay, religious facility there. That also went through the zoning workshop. We had a lot of folks that came and spoke in favor and against. And the town council pushed it back on the developer and said, go back, get this feedback from the community. That's the purpose for the zoning workshop. And the developer came back, it was in last month, they came back with a new set of plans on a second workshop. And then that also is going to come before the town council on September 21st. So that's what that is. They're looking for a future land use map amendment to allow institutional religious facility in that lot there. Okay, so that's something else that's coming to the town council. Southwest 87th Old Cutler Road, the little triangle. The history of that property, I think the owner has tried, I think 3 separate times to put in a CVS mixed use development, and all 3 times the council said no. So we have not received any active application yet. So I don't know what the intention is. with that developer, but it includes that little triangle and that little nursery. That's all part of one big property in the corner there.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Any other from the, yes, come on in. How are you, sir? I keep saying, come on in, come on up. In is the virtual. Okay.
Good
Sure.
evening.
Hi.
Couple of questions. As senior walkers in this community, is there any plan to improve the drainage at the West Cutler Ridge Park soccer field? The one that floods all the time?
The West Soccer Field, the one between the pool and the residential houses there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that one there. There's no specific plans for that area there because that's only limited because there's no lighting there.
Okay.
Detention basin now.
Where?
Parks,
Hmm?
parks are usually when it's a big storm,
Right.
parks are also.
Right.
used as a
Right.
Basin.
Right.
For major
Right.
storm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why some parks are lower.
Yeah.
It's just part of the design.
And my second question is, as walkers in our neighborhood, who enforces people parking on sidewalks?
Our code compliance and police. And I know you emailed me before regarding that and they'll go out there. So we actually have a campaign that we actually, put out through our police department. It makes me saying parking on the sidewalk is a violation.
Okay. All right.
And we
Thank
have
you.
that happening all the time, but yes, that and also part two of that would be the hedges that are growing into the sidewalk. That
Yeah.
causes you to go outside the sidewalk.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Hey, come on up. And then, yes,
Hi.
Hi.
You said the 16-acre had arsenic on the acreage?
On the 16 acres on Lakes by the Bay that has a green tarpon fence around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was I guess, what are the plans for the removal of it? Or is it going to be removed, the contamination before the building?
Part of the order with Miami-Dade County Durham is before anything gets built there, they have to remediate that property.
And do you know how they're remediating it?
Yeah, take out dirt, take it to a facility and bring in new dirt.
And is there any, I guess, opportunity for other forms of remediation? Or are they accepting other forms?
That would be Miami-Dade County Durham. It's folks with PhDs at the end of their names, not me.
Okay, because there's more environmentally friendly ways to remediate the arsenic on that site besides taking dirt and throwing it in some wasteland and bringing new one.
Right, well, they actually take it to a facility that does that type of treatment and then they bring in the new dirt. But again, that's Miami-Dade County Durham. We're not part of that environmental remediation project. That's in Miami-Dade County, that falls in the umbrella of Miami-Dade County Durham.
Okay.
Department of Environmental Remediation, Department. Durham. Okay, but Durham. I know him as Durham. Oh, Department of Environmental Regulation. That's what those guys do. And they actually have an order on that property now for them to clean up. And they know they need to clean up before the first piece of dirt gets moved or anything gets approved. The condition that if and when the town council approves will be, that must be remediated and Miami-Dade County Durham will be out there as well. Okay, if there's no other calls or comments from the audience here, thank you. Desiree, do we have any folks online?
Yes, we have over 21 comments. So I'll start with, some of them are repeat, but I'll start with just Pocahontas Bivens, just two comments. Small companies should have a change. And the second comment is redo the community pool. Since they're not questions, I'll move on to the next one from Robert Mejia. He wrote, of the trees being removed, how many are going back non-invasive? And I believe he was referring to the 8.5 acres. He said he wouldn't want more soil runoff.
Okay, so in the 8.5 acres, part of that issue with the 8.5 acres that is completely overrun with invasive trees. Has never been kind of like, treated or cultivated. So there will be an environmental assessment. Miami-Dade County Durham, the regulatory agency for Miami-Dade County, will be out there with their biologists and arborists, making sure that the trees that are being removed are invasive. But I can tell you just by walking the site with our own consultant, you're looking at about 85–90% of the trees there are invasive. And to the point that if you see the folks that are our friends that are doing from Louisville, Cutler Bay, that are always doing the remediation project next door, the seedlings are coming from that property. So go out there and pluck weeds, but the weeds and lead trees and everything else are coming from the seedlings from that property. So the quicker we get that, it's quicker it'll speed up the rehabilitation process.
From Denise Ramos, she asked, how many Go Connect vehicles do we have? I've waited half an hour for a ride.
We don't have enough. I think just because of popularity of the band, right? I think right now we have 3. We want to try to add more vehicles there. So those are kind of comments that I like because that means the demand is there. And yes, there are some certain peak hours that you might have to wait. But again, we're negotiating with Miami-Dade County because Miami-Dade County does our transit for us to add more vehicles and expand the hours.
We had a few comments regarding the new Publix center, so they might have missed it. If you could recap what vendors are coming to the new Publix and when it will open.
Okay. So according to the contractor, the new Publix shopping center the Publix will be open in mid-October. The other store will remain open as well, so they'll have 2 going on at the same time. What we've heard just from the folks from Publix is that there's some other Publixes throughout the county that they're kind of doing remodeling and what have you. If you recall, a couple years back on 184 on US 1, that one was completely leveled, expanded. What do you do with all those employees? Kind of, shuffle them around again. That's not what we do, but that's what Publix does, right? And so we know that there's going to be a time that both Publixes are open at the same time. So, you have an opportunity to go both places.
From Fabiha Sayed, she wrote, is there any feedback / rules that are going to be enforced regarding underage kids / legal drivers on go-karts or other 4-wheelers that are driving on roads with traffic lights / traffic signs, but are not following the basic traffic rules? I've seen many Cutler Bay residents bring up concerns that because these 4-wheelers are low and not easily visible, or because kids are not following traffic rules, regular day-to-day car drivers encounter situations where they can get into accidents. These concerns have been brought up multiple times and drivers are taking precaution, but these almost accidents are still occurring. I understand many parents also argue that kids are kids and should be able to ride whatever they own and are given to by their families, but this is risking lives from 2 sides of the situation. Long comment.
Okay, so I'll approach that 2 ways. Let's talk about the golf cart and we talk about the 4-wheelers, right? The side-by-sides is a new phenomenon now, right? And then we got the little dirt bikes and ATVs. So the golf cart, our town code says you must have a valid driver's license, to operate that. So I know our police department, when they see it very blatant, they'll sit there and tell them. There's been times that I've actually had a parent call me, say, hey, the police have my child on the side of the road on Old Cutler Road. 1, he was on the bike path, and 2, they won't let him drive home. So yeah, I need to come get him. So I know those instances there because I get those calls. In terms of Raptors, ATVs, believe it or not, I had a couple incidents in the Cutler Ridge Park that folks just kind of decided to do a bunch of donuts on the West soccer field and on the main soccer field. And we've actually had, folks with it was an amazing thing, the video cameras, just give us that information and our police department will go down and track them down. The third one I'm going to add is the folks that just like doing donuts at intersections, right? I'm sure everybody's seen that. We know where the intersections are. In fact, my running joke with my town staff, wherever you see the donut in the intersection, that equals a traffic circle. That means there's too much room there, right? So we know where those folks are. We actually, track them down with, believe it or not, with the videos that we have been provided through the police department and track those cars down. I mean, it's hard not to find use an example, green neon car, So they've actually, I know our police department has actually, tracked those folks down. So again, the power of video, the power of photos is provide us that information that would be great for us. So that's how we're addressing those issues with our police department.
The next is from Barbara Coakley. She wrote, residents of Cutler Creek Association next to the bridge project on Caribbean Boulevard are at serious risk of accidents when trying to enter or exit community due to speeders on Caribbean. Please help by placing traffic warnings to protect our residents and their families from possible danger.
Yep. In fact, when the Caribbean Boulevard project was done, we actually did a study to make sure if there was a warrant analysis, make sure it could be a turn signal there. There's not enough traffic there. In Cutler Creek, there's actually a backside that the association decided to close. So there's only one way in and out. But we've actually done the left signal there and we did the warrant analysis, there wasn't enough. So what we did was, and when you drive by Cruton Boulevard, we negotiated with the Miami-Dade County. There is a speeding sign, but there's also now a new crosswalk that folks could safely cross, and you get the little beacon lights there. So that's another way of kind of traffic calming there for those folks in Cutler Creek to get out. That is difficult left in the morning.
Next is from Marlene Alberti. She wants to know if at some point AT&T is going to repair the pavement where they were working at 9051 Southwest 203rd Terrace, Cutler Bay. Everything has been very shoddy and they still haven't come to see the weeds where they worked.
Well, thank you for providing us the address. We're going to follow up with them. I mean, that's always been I call it almost like a little cat and mouse with the utility companies. Alfredo Quintero, Public Works Director, we were just dealing with a case today as well, that they come do work on the right of way, the easement and the restoration process. So thank you for providing the address. We'll follow up with first thing in the morning.
A comment from Michelle Craven, District 8 County Commissioner's Office, Cohen Higgins got the TPO to approve the Southwest 87th Avenue Bridge for us. Would love to see 77th Avenue be next. That's going to help traffic flow. Thank you, Cohen Higgins, and I hope everybody votes for you tomorrow because we need another 4 years of it. That's just a comment. I don't know if you want to make a comment to that.
I mean, listen, we've been very, very vocal. The town council actually has a resolution, standing resolution for the county to explore any north-south connection, which included 87th Avenue and 77th Avenue for any type of north-south, because we know we all live here. There's only so many ways you go north. So there's actually standing resolution for the county to explore that feasibility. And 77th Avenue is one of them.
From Larry P. Graham, is there any possibility of adding city sewer or burying electric lines?
Okay, city sewer, there's only a certain, maybe a little area around Lincoln City Park that is not under county sewer. We're not water sewer business. That's Miami-Dade County regarding that. So there's only certain sections that are there right around Lincoln City Park. And what was the second half?
So he said adding city sewer or burying electric lines.
Okay, burying electric lines is a very expensive proposition. I know that. Some of the other cities have tried doing that. And what I could tell you is that any type of new development, we certainly encourage that to be there because it's a very costly endeavor, particularly some of the other areas of town that the light poles are in the back of the easements. You know, as we know from Irma, some of the areas that needed to have the restoration done took a lot longer because they had to literally bring a 80-foot pole over the house, wood pole, to put it in the back of the yard. So it's very expensive to do the underground.
Okay, the next is from Elizabeth Arno. I'm gonna ask her for the address because you're gonna need it, but it's, I've called the city of Cutler Bay to complain about a fish pond my neighbors built. Unfortunately, it's just an unsightly algae glass attachment in the front yard of their home. The worst part is that it's just a mosquito pond. No, and again, I'll ask her for her address right now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's something that we certainly investigate that. We investigate that sometimes with, unfortunately, foreclosed houses or abandoned houses with green pools. Then we actually have the health department get involved because they have the authorization to go into the property and go all the way into the back of the yard and treat that. But if this is in the front and we can see it visibly from the soil, that's something just we can enforce it with code compliance.
A comment from Michelle Craven. We could schedule more local bonanza type events. Town of Cutler Bay cleanups for Black Point or Southwest 87th Avenue. Volunteer events for our middle school and high school students who need volunteer hours anyway.
I completely agree. We actually reached out to the coast academies. We have the high school coast, we have the middle school coast, and we have the baby coast, as they call them, at Wiggum. And when we did an environmental cleanup planting over adjacent to the 8.5 acres, we had over 90 students from Southridge, Cutler Bay High, Cutler Bay Middle School, as far as Ferguson as well. There was a contingent from Ferguson that came out. So that's something that we've been challenging the schools with the environmental teachers. Say, hey, look, if your school commit to say 2 cleanup days a year, that's two, and we have like 8, and they get all the community hours they can get there at the same time.
From LEBG, what is the purpose of the community garden next to Cutler Ridge Park?
It's a community garden that's operated by, at one point it was like the Girl Scouts, and the purpose of that was just to basically just, grow the vegetables and, create an environment where folks get educated. So one of the things that we received comments on the 16-acre parcel for our new municipal complex was possibility of expanding the community garden. There's a lot of cities, believe it or not, I think Tampa just had a successful program where they had a community garden. Then right next to it, they had a community center that had a kitchen, and it kind of showed everybody, hey, how do you cook the food? You could grow and cook it there. So that was one of the comments. So the purpose of the community garden is just for that. I think it need to get expanded.
From Ashley Madrid, what are they going to do with the flea market that is by the Winn-Dixie?
Okay, so the flea market that was next to in Dixie. So the flea market was sold. Prior to being sold, they came in and tried to put in several hundred apartment units there. The council denied it. Traffic going to that. I mean, the traffic just didn't flow right now. I see the vice mayor's head shaking there because I know that was, I mean, he was like, chapter and verse on page 65, paragraph 3, so we literally studied that. And that was one of the first ones that that fell under the category that the town does a traffic study. So we actually started splitting hairs with those folks, and it just didn't work out. The logistics there, the shopping center, it's a very busy, successful shopping center. There's not that many storefronts empty, if not at all. So the owner then sold it. The new owners are in the process of, they gutted it. They cleaned it up. If you driven by there, we used to have a homeless problem there. So they worked with our police department there to clean that up, put a nice perimeter fence around it. And what our understanding, we haven't seen the plans yet because they just submitted the demo plans, is going to be more like a marketplace for fresh seafood, poultry, and meat, a really big area there. So something that'll complement that shopping center. And again, we haven't seen the formal, the plans that we understand the concept that they came in for the demolition permit. So at least they cleaned up the outside, they put up the perimeter fence, and they're going to come in with a set of plans for that type of market.
From Hank Starling, do we have a street sweeper truck to clean the streets and curbs, example, 216th Street?
Okay, so we do have very aggressive street sweeping and storm drain cleaning that's funded through the stormwater fees that everyone pays in the town of Cutler Bay. And I know that we do have, the street sweeper is more effective when there's curbing. So if I take you through that visual look between Old Cutler and 97th Avenue, there's no curbing. A lot of red mulch, no curbing. All right, so the effective sweeper works on curbing. So the roads that we just mentioned, Caribbean, Old Cutler, now upcoming Franjo, hopefully Marlin Road, those roads will have curbing, which means that it could be effective sweeping. If you see a sweeper sweeping without a curb, it's just moving dust around. So I know that specifically for 216th Street, any road that has a curb, our contractor does, but there's a little section there on 216 that doesn't have any curbs, which is a sign now.
We've got a few more questions. I think they may have missed the Southland Mall. If you could provide a recap on that.
Sure. Southland Mall the Southland Mall and Macy's were recently purchased by a developer who also has a contract on the Sears parcel. Hopefully it'll be closing soon. So we'll have one major developer coming in there, making sure that they follow the vision of the community that we had back in, before we incorporated, was a charrette. They call it the Cutler Ridge Charrette, but then also the vision of the community to have entertainment, restaurants, retail, commercial. Obviously, there's going to be housing component to that as well. So that's something that's going to be a huge transformation for the Southland Mall area.
From Carla Cristina Castro Cardenas, is there any plan to increase lighting on 82nd Avenue from Old Cutler Road to 184th Street? And second, any plan to protect peacocks in this area as well?
So 82nd Avenue Street from Old Cutler Road to 184. Okay, so there's no plans for street lighting there, but there are plans to redo that road there with a traffic circle, I want to say at the 82nd and 188th Street, as well as drainage. So folks that live along 82nd Avenue are friends from Old Cutler Glen. We've met with them before. We know that that there's a area there that there's high flooding there, some of the cul-de-sacs there as well. So we are doing a plan there. We actually received a grant for that, and we're adding some more funding for the drainage project that we know along some of those older coasts, but there's not going to be a lighting component there. It's more of a residential street versus a thoroughfare.
From Hank Starling, are there any plans to repair potholes in the street located 97th Avenue and Southwest 16th Street, north of the traffic circle?
97th Avenue, north of the traffic circle between 216 and 212th Street. That's my little geographic area there. I know that we've been working with the county to do a major project there for drainage, but if there's existing potholes, we'll make a note of that and make sure that our public works department coordinate that, because 97th Avenue is owned and maintained by Miami-Dade County. But I think I know the area they're talking about, right as you approach the circle, has been hodgepodge of patches. There's not holes, there's just kind of patches there. And we're working with the county to do a drainage project there as well on that section there, north of 216 between 212 and 216.
From Evelio Hill, will there be any more food truck events?
Well, we do have food truck events when we partner up with the food trucks at our parks for that. I think the vision and the comment that we received once we develop our municipal complex at 16 acres to have some type of a scheduled food truck event, third Saturday of the month or something like that. But right now we have a great success with our food trucks that we bring into our parks for special events.
From Kevin Wojcicki, when are you going to resurface my street?
Okay, well, yes, as soon as we get, so thank you, Kevin, for that question. And now I asked the same question. We're having some legal issues right now with the contractor there that's supposed to finish up that roadway project. So I can just tell you, stay tuned. We're working with that. If they're not going to do that, then we go after the performance bond, unfortunately. And a performance bond is when we issue a water contract. If a contractor cannot finish that job, then we go to the performance bond, and we're at that point now, because the contract just walked off.
From Cynthia Moreno, what's going next to the Ross where Kmart used to be?
Nothing yet. It's owned. I mean, it just got purchased. We haven't seen the final plans yet, so I could tell you we haven't received any type of plans for what would go on to that on we call the old Kmart site next to Ross, right? Yeah, so we haven't seen those plans, but I know that the new property owner they're looking at all those areas there now.
From Patricia Montalvo, is there anything the town can do with the beggars on US 1 and 184th Street? It's dangerous for them and drivers.
Yeah, and I'm glad to mention that, because I know our police lieutenant and our neighborhood resource unit, one of the officers back here as well, is that we've been approaching that like a holistic part. Part of the issue that we had is some of the businesses take it upon themselves to provide them free food towards the end of the night. So they keep coming back. It is a violation to do any type of peddling on US 1, so that we've been working closely with South Florida Water Management. They like living underneath the bridge by Pep Boys as well. So we know those folks. Our police department has been reaching out to them, as well as with the homeless trust. Some of them just don't want the services that are being offered that we all pay for through our taxes. So I know that it's been a pet peeve. I mean, believe me, that, and also the folks selling the roses, right? Along that US 1 area. So that's something that we continue to attack all the time with our friends from Palmetto Bay, the police department there as well. And educating the restaurants along that corridor as well.
From Cynthia Moreno, where are all the chickens coming from? Are they here to stay? Will they be removed? They're in aisles at Bayshore and also Old Cutler Road, I guess, north of 82nd Avenue.
I don't know where they're coming from. I think they maybe talk to their friends, the peacocks. I don't know. I don't know where they come from. Our code does not allow the keeping of fowl, so it's hard to communicate with them. But I mean, we have had a couple of times where folks decided to raise them, and that's contrary to regulations there. So again, if there's an isolated incident, we're gonna go out there with, catch them or have you know, but we'll see if somebody's, feeding them, or, we have that sometimes with the ducks, as well, that folks decide to feed them, and all of a sudden you have like 300-400 ducks in the road. That becomes, a health issue there. So we'll be on the lookout for the chickens.
And last one from Charles Gant. Will Olive Garden and Applebee's go? I imagine he is referring to when Southland Mall is, the renovation happens.
No, Applebee's, Olive Garden are one of the top producers, believe it or not. And you also have Stir Moon, there as well. So there's some foundations there. The developers are going to come in and level the mall. They have to go through each of the leases. They're complicated leases according to the developer. Some of them go out to 2040, leases there. So there's some staples there that are restaurants there, and both the Olive Garden and Applebee's, Buffalo Wild Wings, Stir Moon, those are staples there, and in their own group, they're one of the top producing ones, believe it or not. So I don't think they're gonna, try to do something with that.
I don't have any other questions. There's a few more comments, but I'll share with those after.
Okay, well, great. Okay, well, again, if there's any other questions from the members of the audience? No? Okay, well, again, on behalf of the mayor and town council, thank you for attending here in live. I was gonna say in the studio, live, and then also on Facebook Live as well. I think this is really great. I mean, it kind of provides us some information, feedback from residents. There's a couple questions that we need to still answer as well. And if you think of something or you're shy, please feel free to give me a call. Again, my name is Ralph Casals, your town manager. I can reach at area code 305-232-4262. All right, thank you guys. Good evening. Take care.